Science Europe highlights the experiences of the women chairs of its working groups. Who are your role models?
Well, I guess my main role model was my mom, because she's an academic. So she was a university professor. Both my parents were academics, and I grew up in this environment where they were, well, mostly men, but also women, intellectual women and women academics around me.
What challenges did you face in your career?
Well, I guess that I faced the challenges that a lot of early career researchers face in the period prior to stability of the position, because, well, there were many years of a sequence of fixed-term contracts with the uncertainty of whether there was going to be another contract afterwards. So that period was a challenge. It was not specific of women scientists, but of young scientists in Spain, I would say, particularly in the period where I had to go through that phase. And another challenge, of course, was the compatibilization between maternity, because I had 2 children before I actually got a permanent position, and work, of course.
What support did you receive? And how could your institution or colleagues have better supported you and other women?
Well, I had at the institute where I have been working in CSIC for 12 years, I've always had wonderful colleagues, and there's a very big community of support for people who need flexibility and support during certain periods. But in the period where I had my children, the group on equality and inclusion had not been created yet, and this is a group that has been created at the center recently, and I'm talking about the research center, not the CSIC as such. So I didn't have anywhere to go to talk about my specific issues as a woman, and that exists nowadays. I was part of that group for a period, and well, that was a very nice initiative, creating an equality group where we addressed well, the challenges for women and the issues that people were facing. At the institutional level, CSIC has been a big pioneer in Spain in creating a commission for women in science and monitoring what was happening in terms of gender balance since, I mean, it's been running for more than 20 years. So in the context of the Spanish system, that was, as I said, that was quite a pioneer. So the institution is aware, and at the center level, I think things are getting done properly. But the problems are more systemic and very embedded in the system. So it's probably there to the grounds that we have to go to solve them.
Based on recent figures, what action would you recommend to policymakers and the research community to enhance gender equality?
Well, there is one message that is always, I find, difficult to transmit, which is that equality measures need to first study and integrate the differences in patterns of behavior and patterns of doing research and innovating between men and women. I'll give you a couple of examples. One issue that I have studied is international mobility, for example, which is, as we know, a big, the promotion of this mobility is important within the European research area. So what we found in Spain is that, well, we found more mobile women than men in the overall population that we studied, but then we found that women were less frequently mobile, and their mobilities were shorter and to destinations closer to home, for example, compared to men. So when you design a policy that does not take this into account, and for example, you design a mobility program of a minimum of, let's say, 5-6 months to go somewhere, then you will have less women applying for that, because the program has fixed a very long period for them to go away. So the knowledge about the differences in the patterns of behavior between when men and women, when these programs are designed, is very important, and taking them into account. Another dimension, for example, that has been widely studied too, is technology transfer. Women valorize their knowledge and transfer their knowledge through channels that are more informal and that create more social value than economic value, so to speak. It is different to the traditional technology transfer approach. So it doesn't mean that they don't transfer knowledge. It means that they do it differently to men in average terms. So if we design assessment and recognition system, for example, or programs to promote these activities, we need to take into account that women and men tend to behave differently. And there's other dimensions like collaboration. Women collaborate differently to men in doing science. So this is important. Like, equality means taking the differences into account when we design policies and recognition systems in particular. Because if they are designed thinking of the men patterns of behavior, then we're automatically discriminating women.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
My younger self, well, I think I was very naive when I started my career, and I didn't even understand what all these gender studies were about or were for, which didn't allow me to see many micro discriminations that might be going on. So the recommendation would be aware, keep your eyes open and for discrimination patterns, and fight back from the beginning.